last thing that you want to do is under prepare, because that could be tragic. So I think this, and I will say this, I think the state, the Wisconsin Department of Health and Human Services, they've done a tremendous job on the information. I mean, if you go to their website and you go to the COVID page, I mean, they're putting down what the daily outbreaks are, where they are per county, how many deaths have gone on. What I would really like to see is how many people have come out of it. So, for instance, here in our two counties, I believe that, let's see, here in Marathon County, I believe there's 7 confirmed cases. One of them is in the hospital. The other 6 are at home.
Yeah, well, we're up to 9 now. The number went to 9 yesterday.
And then in Wood County, is it still at 2?
Well, yeah.
Both are recovered.
Yes, exactly. 2 are recovered. 2 and 2. We had 2 cases. They're both recovered. I understand there are 3 recoveries in Marathon County as of now. So,
right. And it's interesting because the state said that they couldn't report that because there's no way to track it, which right. I suppose I understand, but I think people just need to see. I think that would be helpful.
I think you're right. Yeah.
There's everyone is concerned with the surge, and people are in preparation for the surge. And that prior to Wednesday, on Wednesday it went up to 200, and yesterday it was at 180. So on the state website, Department of Health and Human Services, so you don't have to check it all day long and everything. So that's really nice. The statistics are there. Now, we don't know what that means as far as is that an upsurge and what's going on. This virus is a nasty one. I'm sure it's been around for a while. It's strikingly similar to the flu and strikingly diverse to the flu as well. So we've got to be careful. We've got to be very diligent. But there's no better thing that the public can do than social distancing. And that's been the hard part because as humans, we're social beings. And there are a lot of people you've seen over the last 2 to 3 weeks, especially if you go into social media and whatnot. There's conspiracy theorists, there's folks that think our rights are being hit on, and all different kinds of things. Those things add to anxiety, and so I would encourage people, if you are going to go on social media for enjoyment and whatnot, maybe don't stay on there all day, or, do something different. Get a little bit. I mean, obviously keep yourself updated and whatnot, but it's just that part is a very scary thing. And even the news, I will tell you what, I believe our media has to do a far better job of that. We've got to be diligent, but I think some of the news sources that are out there, this is TV news sources, are sensationalizing this to a degree that's just horrible. I mean, I really don't understand why they're doing it. At the same time, we do need to be diligent about it. So, what's very interesting is I did a bunch of research last night. I just wanted to see what is really going on, because if you look at the news and you look at what's happening in New York, you would think that the entire state is falling apart. Yeah. Now, there are a lot of people that are suffering. They are at a shortage. They just brought in that big ship. And what was interesting is one of the
floating hospital
yeah. that was in there. And what you saw is there were hundreds of thousands of people standing shoulder to shoulder out taking pictures of the ship coming in that were not social distancing. And even the governor on, I believe it was Wednesday or maybe it was yesterday, finally closed the parks, because in the area that they're having the biggest outbreaks of all, people were still playing pickup games of basketball, of soccer. People were out in the public. So when the public is not engaged in social distancing as really as much as they should be, it's going to continue to go on. But if you look at New York, there's 59 counties, and 5 of the counties have 95% of the outbreak. So in Nassau's 10,600, New York City is 51,000, Rockland has 3,700. But they have, I think, 5 counties there in New York that don't have any of the outbreak. And we're not hearing that. And what that really shows is. Same in California. You know, you look in here in California, that's a hot spot.
Right.
But if you look at the hot spot, it's in Southern California and Los Angeles, and the other one is in San Francisco. They waited too long to practice social distancing. Illinois, we're hearing that Illinois is a big hot spot. I believe there's, I think it's 60 counties. 3 of the counties, 105 counties. 3 of the counties have 80% of the outbreak. And even here in, in Wisconsin, and in 3 counties has the lion's share of it, 70% in those 3 counties. So what that tells us, that information that we have, we can go to, how do we protect ourselves? Social distancing. Man, if that's not the key, because in those other areas, what we know about all those other areas that I just described, those are all heavily populated and people are out and about. So the more we could do social distancing, the better off we're going to be.
What does your eye test tell you when you go around the city of Marshfield? How has the city of Marshfield responded to that social distancing? How are we doing?
Well, what's interesting is that the eye test, as you go around, I was very thankful, below 16, go into the store, because what was happening was families were going in. So 5 or 6 people going in to do their shopping. Now, one part of you can understand it. Well, what if it's a single mom or single dad and they don't have anybody to take care of that? And that's true. But the other side of that argument is and there were people then that started to go to Walmart to do their laps. That's just not the case. So Walmart is doing that as well. I think overall we're doing good. We could do better. Our restaurants, it's a very, very interesting, because it gets down to what is an essential business. Are restaurants essential? I believe they are. A little bit of takeout, but the majority of their business was dine in. And so they could come in, people would have a drink or two or a soda or water and wait for their food. Now everything is call in. So some of our restaurants got a little bit of overloaded with people calling in. So it's one thing I asked for on a video I did earlier this week. We need to support our restaurants, absolutely. But if you know you're going to have dinner at a particular restaurant, call in your order at 1 or 2. And that way they're not getting hit, with, hey, can I have dinner in 45 minutes? We need our restaurants open, because if you can imagine, if those close, and I'm not saying that they're going to, can you imagine the overload that our supermarkets would have? It would just, they wouldn't be able to do it. So there are many essential businesses that are open, and there are many more businesses that are scaling back the amount of folks.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, the argument is, the big box retailer that has the garden center,
Yes.
Hardware stores were deemed essential. We get that. Garden centers, I didn't see them on the list yet, because the hardware store just happens to have a garden center. I mean, you've got a full parking lot. That's not necessarily responsible either, so.
No,
that's
it's not.
Tough, that's, I don't know, the city officials in that case can't really step in and do anything, can you?
No, not unless it is, you get that kind of order from the governor.
Yeah, so it's
okay.
And so even Governor Evers,
he said the other day that as he made the order, he was not aware of all the smaller implications,
Right.
much like the ones that you bring up. For instance, does a liquor store, is that an essential business? And so they're looking into that. And
Yeah.
but there's things there that people need. So, but many other businesses have taken it upon themselves to close down. That is extraordinarily difficult for those business owners. If you can imagine you've got a good business, maybe it's thriving, maybe you're not quite thriving, but you're doing okay, and you see a little light at the end of the tunnel, and then this happens. I mean, this is catastrophic for them, which is why it's so important that we, that we do this. But then you see, down at the theater, you see them out there, and they're doing curbside service for popcorn and candy to take it home on Friday and Saturday nights. I mean, what a great community thing. So many of our businesses are even, you can pay extra so that people without money can go in and get food as well. So I've seen a lot of great things within the city. We can, there's a saying, you can always do better. We probably can, but I think we're doing pretty good. The key right now is we don't have anyone right now in the city as of this time that has the virus, and I don't know where that's going to leave. They're expecting the surge. It's very interesting. The surge is going to come somewhere between the middle of April and the middle of May. So we'll just narrow it down. And then they don't know quite what they're basing the surge on. Is it the amount of new cases, or is the amount of people that pass away? Which one is it?
Yeah.
And even those models are different. So the problem with all of this is it's not something that you can really accurately really do, because everything is a model.
Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, these health officials, they could become meteorologists after this.
Yes.
A high today between 50 and 80, somewhere in there,
It might rain, it might not. Look out your window. I mean, but realistically, they have to do that. And you see this at the federal level, you see it at the state level. Every day that goes by, they get more information to put into their modeling that makes their modeling then more accurate. So this is why it's important to stay informed. But the best thing we could do, is stay in our homes.
At what is there a line? Where is the line drawn? Does the city of Marshfield have any? It seems like a lot of this is coming from the state level. We've got Governor Evers' safer at home order. Things of that nature. We've got certain states, like you mentioned, New York, they're closing parks and they're doing all they can to limit, people getting together. And can the city step in and do anything on their own beyond what the state has already done? Or don't you have that? Isn't that in your sort of jurisdiction when it comes to a pandemic of this nature?
With the pandemic, I believe there was in one, I want to say Tennessee or something like that, where they lifted their safer at home, which is crazy to do, in my opinion. I'm sure there's some powers that you can do. The problem is if you go in to be overbearing, or if you try to lift things, that's just not advisable. So now we're supporting all the federal and state mandates that are coming down. We have declared the city a state of emergency, and we've done certain things. So we are, right now, Mike, we're in this position of hurry up and wait. I mean, we are as prepared. I think I've told you before. We're meeting twice a week with 15 different entities. The university, Midstate, the clinic, Mackey, the YMCA, the police chief, the fire chief, communications department, Steve and I, the Wood County Health Department, the United Way, the Marshfield Community Hope Line. and we're having these discussions literally twice a week in preparation. So there's really nothing more that we can do to prepare. And I'm really hoping that this preparation will just be good. I hope we never have to see what some of these other places have, but I believe we've done a far better job. The Marshfield Clinic Health System, they've been amazing. They are not looking at today and how do we get through today. They are projecting 3 to 4 weeks down the road, and they're preparing for that. So that really helps you a lot when you have that kind of preparation between the city. I mean, realistically, all hands are on deck.
And they announced this last week. They're doing in-house testing now for COVID. Mm-hmm. So that's I guess, another feather in the cap for the city of Marshfield.
We're very, very proud of having a world-class facility here. Our first responders, both police and fire, are being very diligent. So one thing is if you see the fire department go out to a call that's a suspected somebody ill, and you see them get their full protective gear, that does not mean that person is infected with the virus. They're being very proactive.
Aren't they responding to everything that way, or no? Just sick people? I'm not sure. They're
just
not
people that call in. So when they go out to a traffic collision or something like that,
they're not putting the full hazmat looking type thing on.
No.
Okay.
No, but they're and they've got to be protected. I mean, that's just in some of these areas. For instance, in New York, there's physicians, nurses that are that they're now in the hospital. Yeah. And nurses now, they just put out a thing in New York, $108 an hour. But you're going into a hot zone.
High risk, high reward.
High risk, high risk. So it's it's a very interesting time.
It certainly is. We'll continue to talk about it on the Insight program. Marshfield Mayor Bob McManus with us as he is on the first Friday of every month. Here we are on the 3rd of April, his time slot, and glad you're with us on the Insight program this morning. If there are questions, feel free to join the discussion at 384-2191, and we'll get you on. 1026, stay with us. More of Insight after this.
Here's how you can do your part to slow the spread of COVID-19, to stay healthy, and help to prevent serious illness and death.
Physical distancing means only leaving your home for essential trips and remaining 6 feet away from others outside your home.
Us here this morning on AM 1450 WDLB and WDLBAM.com. Mike Warren back with you as we continue our discussion with the mayor of the city of Marshfield. And Mayor, talking all things pandemic. COVID, coronavirus, whatever. I mean, people now are just calling it, the virus.
Yeah,
it's the virus.
That's its nickname.
This is a pandemic. It's a bad thing. People are getting sick. People are dying. It's no laughing matter, but we try to, put a lighthearted spin on it when we can, because otherwise I think we'll all go insane. To that end, though, taking it seriously, in terms of, we haven't, and I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff on this in terms of the, what do you call it? Just the social, I guess, mental well-being. We talk about physical health, but then there is also the mental, well-being of everybody, and just having to deal with this day in and day out and having to hear about it. The Marshfield community, your office and others are taking steps to that end, correct? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, one of the things that, we're very concerned with is the longer that people are confined to their homes, people are getting more and more short-fused, anxious, scared, a lot of anxiety. And that will have its own ramifications. And so we're hoping to really get ahead of that. 2 weeks ago today, I called together two groups that you don't normally see in the same room. I called together some folks in our finance community and folks from our faith-based community. And community was there to give relief for, folks that really need it. There are people that are, probably 20% of the folks now just have lost their job. They'll get back once the restaurant's back open and these other companies get back open. But they lost their job. They have no income, and they don't have vacation time benefits or anything like that. So it is scary. So when I met with some folks from our faith-based community, Andy Kavernan and Beth Zarnke, and there were others. I think we had a total of 6 there. I asked them if they could work on something, and I really would want to have it out relatively quickly on where they could call, where people could call. And it doesn't matter if you believe in a certain faith, or maybe you're atheist or agnostic. It really doesn't matter. People need to have a place to call, or maybe they just need information on where can I get food, where can I get this. So I really asked them if they could get it out as quickly as they could, but I understand there's time constraints. Well, I put the right group of people together because they just took it and ran with it. And so now they have the Marshfield Community Hope Line. The phone number is 715-384-3188. And I'll probably say that a couple of times here today. And you could call there. Now, these are not licensed clinicians or anything like that, but they are going to be helpful people that can direct you to the right place or maybe get you some good information. It was staggering that in 8 days, they took this from an idea or a concept to full implementation, to where I believe they're open during the week from 9 to noon and then 3 to 7. We'll have to check that. And then on the weekends as well. One morning, they're open on the weekends as well, but there'll be more information coming out on that. But this is a great place to call if you've got that need, whether it's, you're feeling anxious, you don't know what to do, you need to know who to turn to. These people will be able to talk to you and then get you to the right spot. And it's a great source. And again, that number is 715-384-3188. And there are many different, it's in our faith-based community. So there's, you've got all these pastors and folks that work with them from just a whole cross of different religions uniting to make this better. And so it really is incredible. I mean, there again, it was part of the preparation. I was thinking it was going to take a month or so, hoping it would be ready to go in a couple of weeks from now. And they're already up and running. My understanding is they're getting calls. Not a lot right now. There'll be more advertising coming out about it. But if you need that type of help, again, that number 715-384-3188. And they have just done an outstanding job. And as well, the other big concern is food. And the high school, last count is they're giving out over 600 breakfasts and lunches a day that people are driving up. They get their tray and off they go. And another big concern was food, for people that are, there's St. Vincent's, which is great. And the United Way has been extremely helpful. And that United Way local number is 715-384-9992. And they are there to help for food. And so with these organizations, with what they're doing, I believe here in Marshfield, we've prepared as much as we possibly can. I talk with Steve Barg, the city administrator, 4 to 5 times a day. And every day, one of the questions is, Poor guy must think that I don't remember the time that I asked him the day before, but is there anything else we could be doing? What else can we be doing? And we are about as prepared as we could possibly be. One thing that's coming up that is a source of contention for people in the city, I've received a few emails on it just today, is the fact that the election is still going on. I can assure you that that was a source of contention for myself, Steve Barg, and Deb Hall, the city clerk. And we have sent emails, we've called to our state representatives and our state senators, letting them know we do not know why this election cannot get postponed. On one thing coming out of the state is social distance, stay away, stay home, blah, blah, blah. This is a real big deal. On the other end of that spectrum, and it's and I'm an elected official, on the other time we're saying, but it's okay to come vote for us. That for me is a double standard. And the state is holding firm. Now, what the state has done is, we've had people go into the city. Some have been wearing masks and whatnot, and they can go in and they can vote. You could actually go in today, I believe, from 12 to 4, and also absentee balloting. I mean, we've had an amazing amount of absentee ballots, historical amount from our perspective of people that have already voted, and so that is good. People will still have their polling place to go to, as you can imagine. Many of the people that work at the polling places are elderly, some with underlying medical conditions. So, of course, they've said we can't be there. So you could maybe expect some delays. But with the amount of voting that has already taken place, it really has been incredible. And the governor did extend the voting time for absentee voting, that it just needs to be received by the 13th.
Right. Yeah, that was a judge's ruling.
Correct.
So that'll help.
Absolutely.
But the city was, I guess, sort of unofficially on record advocating to postpone the entire election, you're saying? Let's not do in-person voting right now?
Right. Oh, the city was definitely advocating for that.
Okay.
And there's no question about that. And we had some very interesting email exchanges and a couple of very interesting phone calls. And the state is adamant about it taking place for certain days, on certain days. To a certain point, I understand it, because you have to have elected officials in place, at certain times, so you have quorums and things like this. I get it. But the other side of that, for this to wait 3 to 4 weeks or just do mail-in or something like that, the problem is then you've got voter suppression, because maybe somebody doesn't want to do that. They want to go to the poll. Other states have been able to do it. I don't see any reason why our state couldn't. I was very disappointed in the response from the people that we reached out to, because it was a tone-deaf response. It was very infuriating. However, I will tell you, I deal with these people all the time, and we all have good relationships, and they do a lot of great things for us. But for this, it's very hard for me to understand why it couldn't be postponed. I'm very happy with the fact that absentee voting can still take place until the 13th. So if you are worried about it, just go on and get your absentee vote, and do what you can to stay safe.
It's about all we can do, right? So do our part.
Yep.
All right, the mayor is with us on the Insight program this morning. And again, if there are questions, feel free to join the discussion, 384-2191. And our Insight program will continue in just a moment.
Here's how you can do your part to slow the spread of COVID-19, to stay healthy, and help to prevent serious illness and death.
Identify activities that help you feel calm and content that you can do from home. We all deserve the opportunity for relaxation, recreation, and enjoyment, even at difficult times.
They shut them down, and I went, are you kidding me? Oh, man. So it's going to be tough.
Turn back the time just 1 hour, you could have made it.
Right? I know. Man. Oh, well. Hang in there. I'm with you. I feel your pain. But yeah, in terms of city government, again, there's a lot of stuff that's just not happening right now that normally would be at City Hall. I mean, there's no meetings or anything like that.
Yeah, and it's really hard to do. You know, we're doing the upcoming CIP committees are being formulated. There's a lot. So when we actually do get back to normal meetings, they're going to be long because there's just a lot to get caught up on. But right now is primarily the safety.
Yeah.
Safety of everybody involved. And if anything really has to be, would have to come as an emergency manner, we'd be able to call the aldermen together. So if anything is really pressing, we could do it.
Wanted to bring up another topic from this past week. There was a sizable drug bust, basically, in the city of Marshfield. It covered portions of Wood and Portage counties, but it all started in the city of Marshfield. And boy, I tell you what, feather in the cap for the police department and the drug, this, I think there's a Central Wisconsin Drug Task Force, that our police department is part of, but just kind of an amazing amount of drugs, an eye-popping amount that we see the numbers on the page, a big drug bust in Marshfield Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was actually just about $20,000 worth of meth and crack cocaine. So that's a big deal. It was a traffic stop, and they didn't stop. They were going. They actually got on Highway 10. They were going in excess of 120 miles an hour, and it was. They went on an off ramp the wrong way. I mean, it was a very dangerous situation, and there was a lot of great mutual aid. That the sheriff was involved. Portage County, we had a lot. They even got the strips out there to slow the car down. But the Chief Gramza and his officers, they just did a job, and I think that just goes to show how we have so many heroes here. Of course, everybody right now working at the Marshfield Clinic Health Systems is a hero. I mean, they're facing it every single day. But if you look at our first responders, our police officers, and the folks in the fire department, it's a traffic stop, and look what it turned into. And they went back to a home, and they did there was a search warrant for a home that this person had here, and they found more there. I believe the person is originally from Milwaukee, so it's sad that is leaking here. But there is a drug problem. But I'll tell you what, the officers did a great job with this, and so our accolades go to Chief Gramza and his entire staff. I mean, they executed this flawlessly. Everybody went home safe, including the person that they arrested. But it's a good win, definitely a good win.
Yeah, gets a lot of drugs off the streets, so to speak. The trafficker, whether he was, I guess, labeled, basically got him for delivering and trafficking drugs, not necessarily manufacturing, but it is, people would be amazed to hear some of these stories that go on right here in Marshfield. It's a bigger problem than a lot of people realize, the amount of trafficking that is going on throughout central Wisconsin, including the city of Marshfield.
Yeah, it really is. And there's a task force here. Macy has a task force, and we're really doing everything possible to get this under control. But it's sad. But you're right. It is here. I believe we're getting. It has been controlled well, but you're never gonna get all of them, and this was a big drug bust.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, I saw the photos of the these rocks, and these are big rocks, and you wonder. The first thing that came to my mind was, how long would that have taken that person to sell that here? Was that a week's supply? Is that a month's supply? Was that person stocking up for the summer? What's the sales plan
right.
on that? And it's because that's that's a big thing. If you're going through that in a week, that's a much bigger problem than if it's going to take you months to get through that. And so the investigators will be working through that.
Now, in a case like that, do they make you aware of what they just found? Is it a situation of where, okay, we got to bring the mayor in on this and the city administrator and some other people just to let them know what we just discovered, or not really?
No, they take care of their business, and they do a press release. They always send us the press release before they send it out, so we are aware of it. But they don't. They don't call us when we're in pursuit
and say, you want to ride along?
Ride along. They don't do anything like that. All of our departments act independently, as well they should.
Right.
The elected officials and even city administration, they're not there to micromanage.
Right.
You know what I mean? Turn left here.
Yeah.
They're just, we're not there to do that.
Okay, I was just curious. Do you know anything about it? Was it just a traffic stop, or did they kind of suspect this guy as a trafficker when they tried to pull him over?
That's still coming out. I believe they did suspect him as my understanding is, from information that I've read, so I've not talked to the chief about this yet. I will be, but I have not talked about it, is that this was a known person that does this type of thing.
You don't have the red phone like Commissioner Gordon had with Batman? You don't have anything like that with the chief?
No, we don't put the bat sign up.
No?
We don't have a high enough place, I guess, to see, but not yet. It's not in the budget.
Well, it should be. When the CIP gets together, put a spotlight in the budget.
Right.
Put the call out.
Right.
But, yeah. That might be a while before that happens.
Yes.
We shall see. All right, we just a couple minutes left. Anything else you want to add here, talk about, or mention before we run out of time here today on your monthly visit here?
I'm hoping that everyone in the public will just understand this is something new to all of us. Everybody is trying to get along. I'm really hoping that you will be patient with everybody. If you know somebody that's older or they can't get out, maybe pick up some groceries for them. In regards to our own social distancing, maybe just one person go to the store or two. When you go to festival, we're not at a shortage of anything, so we don't need to hoard toilet paper. Or I know there was some road construction here, and where they put that tar down, they put toilet paper over it, and I'm like, boy, that's a commodity.
I was out there picking it up right behind them.
So I'm just hoping that we can exercise some patience with each other. Know that your city officials are doing everything possible in preparation. We have no idea when the surge is going to get here, if it's going to get here, but we are preparing for it so that we're not caught off guard. The last thing we want to see is bad things happen to people because of this. But it is a very serious pandemic. It's spreading. So the more we can exercise social distancing, the better off we're going to be. And I would like to say as well, if you are feeling anxious, some anxiety, some tension, you need to talk to somebody. Call the Marshfield Community Hope Line at 715-384-3188. Again, that number is 715-384-3188. They'll be able to help you. They'll be able to direct you to the right place to go. And if you need food, or something along those lines, call the United Way at 715-384-9992. These are very, very helpful organizations. And I will tell you one final thing is, many people out there are not doing well financially because they just got laid off. But there's also a lot of generous people out there that do have an ability to give. And so a financial donation to the United Way would be very helpful as they go out and get they get kids food, they get everybody food. That would be very, very helpful. Right now, they're even distributing, not a Meals on Wheels, but it's a thing like that. So we're also going to need more volunteers. If you've got the ability to volunteer, that would be great too. The United Way, always looking for volunteers.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned the Community Hope Line because that is, the faith-based organizations in Marshfield. They're manning it, they're starting it up, they're running it. But this is in no way, shape, or form a religious type of call that you're making, what we should point out here is that many of these church leaders and people who will be manning the phones do have backgrounds, in things like, they're counselors, basically too, a lot of them. They have counseling background, counseling training. So when, they're dealing with, youth groups and things like that at these churches, so they do get counseling training to deal with the emotional and mental well-being of church people. And so this is what qualifies these people to run a community hope line such as this. It has nothing to do with, religion or their church in particular.
Correct. And that's something that's very important for people to know, no matter what religion you are, or if you are not religious, atheist, agnostic, nothing matters. These are going to be people that are, when you call, you're going to be talking about your anxiety, what information you need. And that really is going to be the extent of it. And
Right.
so these are just very giving people. It's all volunteer. The amount of work that has gone into putting this together in such a short period of time is unbelievable how they did it. It really is. But I think it's going to be a great service. But you're right. It is open to everybody, and the topics that will be discussed will be the topics that the caller wants to talk about, and that's it.
Right. Yeah. They're probably, you're right. They're not going to steer you and say, oh, by the way,
Right.
have you read John chapter 4 lately? Right. And there's a great message. I mean, it's nothing like that.
It's nothing like that.
Again, these are trained people in mental and emotional health issues, and it's just part of their training that they've gotten. So it's a good service, a good thing that they're doing. Well, they're not giving sermons anyway. So, well, I guess some of them are online.
Well, if you look at
it.
even the religious, sector has taken a hit.
Yeah, I know.
So many of their, you see their services online.
Yeah.
And they've got to practice social distancing, and so
Yeah.
And they're getting that word out to their parishioners, and it's every industry is affected.
Yeah, certainly is. All right, Mayor. Well, thank you as always for being here. Anything else before we let you get away?
Nope.
No?
I hope our next month when we meet, I hope we're talking about everything being over, but we'll have to wait and see.
I was going to say if you win, but then I was like, no, wait a minute, you're unopposed. If you lose, if you can't win against unopposed,
right.
maybe you should lose.
Right. That is right. I think my odds are good.
Good luck on Tuesday.
Thank you very much.
All right. Marshfield Mayor Bob McManus running unopposed on Tuesday. We'll see if he can win or not. Gonna be close. Probably a close one. Good luck, man.
Thank you.
All right, Bob McManus with us here on the Insight program on the first Friday of every month. And we'll see what it's like coming up on May the 1st. Oh, May Day. Ooh, is the next one. May the 1st is the next time the mayor will be with us on the Insight program here on AM 1450 WDLB and also at WDLBAM.com. Have a great weekend. We're back Monday morning at 10 a.m. here on the Insight program on AM 1450 WDLB Marshfield.